Hi, welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Want to get back. Brian Fisher's my name. The program is Focal Point. The network is AFR Talk, the most dangerous and feared radio network in all of America. And again, just touching briefly on this issue of the Romney campaign. You know, there have been a lot of discussion about whether conservatives should raise any criticisms about the Romney campaign, and it's been kind of my point that the time for conservatives to raise these concerns is now, while there's still some leverage. And if we don't raise these questions now and offer these constructive criticisms to the Romney campaign now, what reason do we have to believe that he would accept these constructive criticisms once he gets in the White House? And as I see it, conservatives that are doing this, that are presenting these public and constructive criticisms of Governor Romney, actually doing him the biggest favor imaginable, because if he will kind of adjust his campaign, and it seems like he has, and I'm not saying he's doing it in response to what conservatives said, because I don't know anything about whether that's the case or not. I'm not making any assumptions about that. But he's clearly redirecting his campaign and emphasizing the solutions that they've got to offer as a campaign. He's kind of unleashing Paul Ryan. He is expressing a willingness to talk about moral issues now on the campaign trail. And if it has anything to do with some of the conservative criticism he's gotten, then I would say those conservatives have done him a huge favor, because his path to the White House, I think, lies through articulating a clear message on the social values. Now, we were talking about this campaign, these assaults on the embassy in Egypt and the assault on our consulate in Libya. We had our consulate in Tunisia our embassy in Tunisia overrun. They ran up the black flag, the Muslim flag that says there is no God but Allah. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, don't believe for 1 minute that Muslims and Christians worship the same God, and don't even believe for a minute that Muslims think we worship the same God. There is no God but Allah, and Allah has no son. That's their God. That's the God they worship, a God who has no son. We as Christians worship a God who has a son. We just read that from John 3. He has an only begotten son who is the Savior of the world. I mean, not only do Christians believe that God has an only begotten son, but that only begotten son is the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Now, Muslims don't believe in any one part of that. They don't even believe that Jesus was crucified and died on the cross. They don't even believe that. So you clearly have two religious systems completely opposed to one another, completely contradictory in values and outlook, worshiping and serving a completely different God. And there is simply no question. And now the Obama administration, again, they want to make it out to be that this was just all about this movie. And it was all a reaction to this movie. The movie is the problem. This doesn't have anything to do with the United States whatsoever. No problems here. No problem with U.S. policy. President Obama still changing the minds of Muslims all around the world, improving our image around the world. And as I brought that, I think it was on Friday, I talked with you about that polling data, that the image of America in the Muslim world is worse now under Barack Obama than it was under that cowboy Bush. Now, there's no question that these attacks were premeditated. They were pre-planned. Realize they were using machine guns and they were using rocket-propelled grenades. You don't suddenly wake up in the morning and say, oh, I want to go protest at the U.S. Embassy because I saw this offensive movie last night, and drop by the local 7-Eleven and pick up a rocket-propelled grenade. It doesn't work like that. You don't go down to the local gas station and pick up a machine gun. You have to have this with you. You got to bring it with you. You got to get the ammo and all that stuff. This is clearly pre-planned attacks. In fact, we discovered that there had been four violent attacks on U.S. Positions or U.S. agencies or offices in Benghazi before this attack on the consulate. One of them was an attack on a Western agency, I think maybe the Red Cross or somebody like that, some relief organization. But there had been 3 attacks on Western and United States diplomatic outposts in Benghazi in the previous 4 months, and still Hillary Clinton did not send Marines in there to provide security. And we got the Sudan out there telling us that they're not going to let our Marines into their country to protect our embassy. And my response to that is, well, why are we even asking? Why are we asking instead of telling? Look, an embassy, I hate to break it to you, Sudan, but an embassy is sovereign American soil, and we are going to have Marines there. Take it. You got no choice in the matter. We don't need your permission to decide what forces we're going to have on sovereign U.S. soil to protect our own territory. And the other thing we say, well, if they're not going to allow Marines in there to protect our embassy, no embassy, we just pull out of there completely. Now, here is John McCain, clip number 7. He's talking about this issue of whether this was a spontaneous demonstration. Make no mistake about it. This was all about a protest against the United States. This was not about a movie. The movie was a pretext. These attacks had been planned weeks, if not months before, to coincide with 9/11. The whole point of these attacks was to coincide with 9/11. The movie is just a convenient excuse, a convenient pretext. The Obama administration wants us to believe that that's the reason, that's the cause, but it's not. It's a hatred of the United States and all of the freedoms and the faith tradition that we stand for here in America. And here is John McCain responding to this nonsense, this ludicrous proposition from the Obama administration, as this is all about a poorly made movie. Let's listen.
How spontaneous is a demonstration when people bring rocket-propelled grenades and heavy weapons and have a very tactically successful military operation? But there's so many things that we need to cover, but the fact is that the United States is weakened. And, it was Osama bin Laden that said, when people see the strong horse and the weak horse, people like the strong horse. Right now, the United States is the weak horse.
So that's John McCain. I think he's exactly right on the money. And again, I think this is a way for Mitt Romney to distinguish himself from Barack Obama by articulating a clear position that he would take on foreign policy. That's one of the things that people appreciated about Ronald Reagan. He made it absolutely clear where the United States stood on foreign policy. We win, they lose. That's how we deal with our enemies. That was Ronald Reagan's foreign policy when dealing with our enemies. We win, they lose. The world understood that. That's why the hostages were released the moment he was sworn into office. Not when he was elected. It was when he was sworn into office, and the Iranians knew that now he had the capacity to do something about what they had done to American citizens. Here is Mark Stein, clip 8. This is Mark Stein responding on Obama. Remember what Barack Obama did is he went campaigning in Las Vegas while we had 4 dead Americans in Libya. And by the way, there's a video. I sent out a tweet with a link to it this morning, a video of the ambassador's body being dragged out of the consulate. Hillary Clinton is saying, hey, it was the Libyans that took him to the hospital to get treatment. Well, they're dragging his body out of the consulate. It's not friendly. It's not cuddly. There's no care. There's no compassion. They're dragging his body out of that consulate. And you can hear him in Arabic shouting, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Now, I don't know any Arabic, but I recognize that phrase, and you can clearly hear them saying it. So here's Mark Stein talking about the fact we've got a president. Our embassy in Egypt is overrun. Our consulate in Libya is attacked. 4 Americans are murdered in cold blood. And Barack Obama, the same day, goes off to Las Vegas to joke around with his brothers and sisters in the hood out there. Here's Mark Stein on all that.
I thought that thing last night with the president saying he had a tough day and comparing the dead Americans in Libya to campaign supporters, which he did, I thought was one of the most disgraceful, inept, and embarrassing performances by a head of state or government that I have ever seen. Every American should be ashamed of their president.
Every American should be ashamed of their president. Hard to disagree with the inimitable Mark Stein. Now let's drop down to clip 10, if we can. Maybe we can grab the Hillary Clinton clip, number 11. This is, again, part of the media spin. This is from late last week. Didn't have time to play it. But again, Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, she's trying to pin the blame on this video. Let's listen.
To us, to me personally, This video is disgusting and reprehensible.
So what? It's not about the
It
video.
appears to us, to me personally, this video is disgusting and reprehensible. It appears to have a deeply cynical purpose to denigrate a great religion and to provoke rage.
So there's Hillary Clinton calling Islam a great religion, saying the problem is that this movie and these riots had nothing to do with this movie. That is just a pretext. Now here's Bob Schieffer, clip 10. He's talking to Tom Friedman about Iran having nuclear weapons and Russia having nuclear weapons. What's the difference? Here's how their exchange goes. His question.
But Tom Friedman, is a military showdown inevitable in this? I mean, just to be the devil's advocate, let me just say, we've coexisted with first the Soviet Union and now Russia for a long, long time, and they have nuclear weapons. What is the difference in Iran having a nuclear weapon and Russia having a nuclear weapon, or China, or Pakistan?
Well, I think the argument is that this is a much more unstable regime,
Yes.
and the Russians, even during the Cold War, weren't out there vowing to wipe the United States off the map. So I certainly understand why the Israelis are concerned.
So Bob Schieffer says, hey, Russia's got nukes. Iran's got nukes. What's the difference? Well, Bob Schieffer, the difference is Islam. The difference is Islam, my friend. Wake up and smell the napalm, Bob Schieffer. Now, we come back. I'm going to play a clip from Bibi Netanyahu talking specifically about Iran. And we know that Iran is sworn. In fact, Iran has said if Israel attacks them, I forget exactly how it was put, but it's what Ahmadinejad, they're going to wipe Israel off the map. There'll be nothing left of Israel. Nothing will remain of Israel. I think that's what this diplomat said. There will be nothing that remains of Israel if they attack us to stop us from nuking up. So you got to, when people say they're going to kill you, people say they're going to destroy you, if they're Muslims, you better cotton picking believe it. We have 9/11 as testimony to that. We've got Egypt, Tunisia, Sudan, Somalia, Libya to bear witness to that. Focal Point AFR Talk back in 2.